If you're part of a nonprofit, you already know that grant writing can feel, well, like a huge battle of facts and figures. But what if I told you the key to winning isn't just a better budget, but a better story? Today, we're going to dive into how a really powerful storytelling framework can completely change the game for getting funded. So let's start with this quote from Donald Miller. He's the guy behind a framework called StoryBrand. And the idea is actually super simple, but it's profound. It's all about this: clarity wins. The message that gets through the noise is the one that's easiest to understand. So let's just flip that for a second. What if funders don't actually fund the most deserving organizations? What if they fund the organizations they can understand the fastest? That one question is exactly what we're going to unpack today. Okay, so let's get real for a minute and just acknowledge how tough this is. I'm sure a lot of you know this feeling all too well. Grant writing is incredibly hard, and sometimes the odds just feel completely stacked against you. I mean, just think about it. Your grant proposal isn't just a request for money, right? It's a sales document that has to cut through a mountain of other proposals. Just picture a reviewer with a huge stack on their desk. If your message isn't crystal clear from page one, you're just going to get lost in the pile. So why do so many of them fail to connect? Well, it usually boils down to a few common traps. They're packed with insider jargon that nobody understands. Or they focus way too much on the organization's own history instead of the community's needs. But the biggest mistake? They just forget to tell a compelling story that makes the funder feel like they're a crucial part of the solution. Okay, so that's the problem, but here's the good news. There's a solution. And the crazy part is, it comes from the exact same formula that powers almost every single blockbuster movie you have ever loved. This right here is the secret sauce. It's the StoryBrand 7-part framework, and it's basically a universal map for how stories work. Every great story has these 7 things: a character who has a problem and then meets a guide who gives them a plan and calls them to action. That action helps them avoid failure, and of course, it ends in success. It's so simple, but our brains are literally wired to follow this structure. So how do you actually use this? Well, the tool is called a brand script. The best way to think about it is like a blueprint for your story. It forces you to filter everything, and I mean everything, you want to say through those 7 plot points. What you get at the end is a message that is just incredibly clear and powerful. All right, now we're at what I think is the most important and honestly the most difficult shift in thinking that this framework asks you to make. This is a concept that will literally change your entire approach to this. Here it is. This is the core principle of StoryBrand. And in the world of grant writing, this translates to something really specific. The community you serve is the hero of the story. Let me say that again. Not your nonprofit, not your board of directors. The people facing the challenge, they are the main characters. So if the community is the hero, where do you fit in? Well, you get to play the best part. You are the guide. You get to be the wise, experienced mentor. Think Yoda to Luke Skywalker. You have the empathy and the authority to give the hero the plan they need to win the day. And just look at how this one little shift completely transforms a pitch. On the left, you've got a statement about what the organization needs. That makes you the hero who needs saving. But on the right, the statement is about the community's success and the funder's power to create that success. It's not a plea anymore, it's an invitation. Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, right? But how does this actually help you write your next grant application? Let's get practical and map it out. And this is where it all just clicks into place. See, this framework isn't some new, complicated thing you have to add to your workload. It lines up perfectly with the grant proposal sections you're already writing. Your character is your target population. Their problem is your statement of need. You, the guide, that's your leadership and staffing section. Your plan is your methodology, and the success is your goals and objectives. See, you're already doing it. StoryBrand just gives you a clearer filter to run it all through. And here's a little pro tip. When you present your process to a funder, keep it dead simple. A 3-step plan like this one cuts through the confusion and shows them you have a clear path forward. It makes working with you feel easy and effective, and that builds a ton of confidence. Now remember, a good guide needs to have authority. You can't just tell a good story. You have to back it up. This is where you prove you're the real deal. Show your measurable outcomes. Share those powerful testimonies. Be totally transparent with your budget. This is the concrete proof that makes your story not just inspiring, but believable. So all of this brings us to the ultimate goal of this whole approach. It's about changing the very nature of your ask. It's about shifting the entire conversation. You're not just asking for a check anymore, you're doing something so much more powerful. You're offering the funder a critical, heroic role in a compelling story. Their money becomes the tool that helps the hero, your community, win the day. They get to be a partner in a real transformation. And get this, when funders see the direct, tangible change that their money helps create, they don't just feel good about a one-time donation. They feel a sense of ownership in that success story. They become more than funders. They become your most passionate advocates, your biggest fans. And really, that's the final question to leave you with. As you start writing your next proposal, just ask yourself this. Is this just a financial transaction? Or is it an invitation to a transformation? Because that one difference, well, that could be everything.